still on his feet, inside the 20, 15, 10, he's in, touchdown ran.
Now they'll try to toss it for yard. Touchdown! Wow, what a catch. Cuts at the 5, ball loose, and Dukeman catches it for a score. Step up, gets hit as he throws, looking to the end zone, and it's caught. Touchdown, Bruins. What a catch by Alexander.
10, 5, touchdown.
25, 20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown, A.J. Turner!
And here come the Cougar Nation. Northern Region champs.
The Gameday Broadcast Network is proud to present high school football. This exclusive broadcast is being powered by Integrated Sports Medicine and Physical Therapy. Get back in the game of life. Manhattan Pizza, now serving Ashburn, South Riding, and Leesburg with the best dang pizza in the world. Verizon Wireless, the official wireless provider of the Gameday Broadcast Network. Diamond Sports Training, train with DST Performance today. Bellator Sports Memorabilia, the premier sports memorabilia store in Northern Virginia. EndZoneCamera.com, the most efficient and affordable end zone camera system on the market. The Spine and Joint Health Center, offering patients superior, results-oriented care, proudly serving Northern Virginia with the finest spine and joint care. Quarterback University, take your skill to the next level and enhance your future today. By Max Muscle Sports Nutrition. Max Muscle, partners in health. Atlanta Bread Company of Sterling. Come for the food, stay for the culture.
And one. Hello and welcome to our state championship episode of Gameday All-Access. I'm your host, Andy Hayes, joined alongside my good friends and colleagues, Bruce Bornarth, David Liddle. Gentlemen, welcome back to the program. Bruce, you done hyperventilating after last week's thriller with Brier Woods and North Stafford?
You know, it took 2 days to recover from that one. You talk about an instant classic, one of the things that you love to say about games. And we've had some of those this year. This was just one more to add to the reel.
Well, it was a great game. We'll show some highlights here in a minute. David, Centerville took care of business. I assume the Little household is pretty happy this weekend.
Yeah, man, it's been a real good week. My voice is finally coming back, as you heard Andy and Chris mentioning that I had the megaphone, yeah. And I was leading some cheers there, getting them going. But yeah, we've had a good week.
Yeah, they were loud on Saturday. David's got a future in that if he wants to go that route. It was a great weekend of state semifinal football here. We had 4 games on our network, and we're going to go ahead and show you some of the highlights from those games. We'll start, and the big game we're going to start with was up in Purcellville, where Northside came up with an impressive win over Lowden Valley. So the Vikings in their season run, they lose 29-14. Northside with a dominating front seven showing here in this ball game that really kind of makes you think, hey, they got a chance here now in this state championship game coming up here. Let's send you out to Purcellville. We'll show you the moments of glory from this one with Bob Duncan and Mike Feldman.
Snap is good. The hold is good. Kick is up and looks like it is good.
Nice job.
Great play there by the kicker, Zach Large. 28-yard field goal puts Northside on board first. Northside 1st and 10 from the Loudon Valley 11. Dunnaville back to pass, looking for Fisher, and the touchdown in the end zone. Touchdown, Northside.
And he snagged that out of the December playoff sky, Bob. That ball looked like it was going over the goalpost.
McDyer in motion. Cordani to his right. Grayson going to keep it, and he's going to punch it in. Touchdown, Valley.
Tosses it to Kinsner. Up the field he goes. He is rolling down the sideline. He breaks one tackle. He might go. He's all the way to the house. Touchdown. Northside Vikings. Throws the ball on the timing route to Buckner. He fumbles the ball. Yes! Valley ball! Sully takes the snap. He's looking to throw the ball. He's going to take off. He misses one. He is crushed, and he fumbles the ball. And Northside has turned him right back over. He tosses it. Krisner around the end. And another fumble. He fumbles the ball and Valley gets it right back. It's Fumble City here in Purcellville.
Dunaville back to pass, looking to his left, complete, and touchdown. Number 3, Harold Buckner on the pylon. Touchdown, Northside.
Yeah, that's a timing route. He threw it right to the pylon, knew his guy was going to be there, and Buckner cradled the ball, dragged a foot, and scored.
So first and goal here for Northside. Late in the half, 48 seconds remaining. Dunaville out of the shotgun. Fires over to his man, Trey Jackson. Sticks it in the end zone. Touchdown, Northside. Sully Warner back in the gun with the bunch set to the near side. Warner rolling right. It's thrown into the end zone and picked off. Sully Warner was nearly brought down, kind of rushed his throw, and it was picked off in the end zone by big number 55. That's Dylan Moran. Warner back to pass. Finally swarmed under there by big number 62, DeAnthony Muse. There's that man once again. 2nd and 5 from the 24.
Valley needs to make something good happen. And right what I said, they throw the ball.
Dunaville back to pass, got all day, but he's finally tripped up by number 41, linebacker Michael Cipher. Handoff to Cunningham, around the left, got some blockers in front of him, still on his feet. Touchdown, Northside. So 37 seconds remaining. Warner back to pass, looking for Malsh in the end zone. Got it, touchdown. Nice play.
Nice play.
So there you have it, all the best plays from this weekend's state semifinal featuring the Vikings of Lowden Valley and the Northside Vikings. Here was a great game. Guys, some thoughts here. First of all, congrats to Lowden Valley on a great season. Nobody had them penciled in that that bracket here, Bruce, this late, did they?
No, not at all. And we talked a little bit about this last week. Came into this season with a lot of teams with a lot of hype to them, mostly in 5A and 6A, the teams around the area, mostly Concord and the Ashburn schools. Nobody was talking about Lowden Valley. And I don't know that they didn't like that, but it can become motivation. And whatever motivated the Vikings, hats off and congratulations. Who had them in the Final Four? Raise your hand. If you do, I'll slap you in the face and tell you you're a liar.
Yeah, I don't think many people saw them going this far, but a great season nonetheless. David, final thought on Lowden Valley's run?
Well, I think go back to the Woodgrove game. You know, their neighbors came in and beat them pretty bad. And they really stepped up, and they got on a roll here in postseason. A great season, way to wind it up, Lowden Valley.
Northside with an impressive win. They will face James Monroe in the 3A state championship at Liberty University here on Saturday. And I tell you, watching Northside, they're tough up front. I mean, they dominated the line of scrimmage. We'll get to more of the details on that game here coming down the road here in this championship preview episode of Game Day All-Access. But let's head out to Stevens City, where Joe Deck and head coach Sean Finnerty of the Liberty Eagles had a chance to call the game together. Coach Finnerty helping us out here on the network. And this was a low-scoring, defensive, grinded-out football game. But the Shando Warriors found the end zone one time. That's all they needed. At Reed Insminger and those kids out there in Stevens City have a chance to go play for it all on Saturday. 7-0 winners over the Salem Spartans. Let's send you out there with Joe Deck and Coach Finnerty on the Game Day Broadcast Network. Here's all the big plays.
Turn around, play action. Looking for Fox out of the backfield. Passes bobbled, it's caught, but behind the line of scrimmage, so it's going to be a stop, and he's brought down by Reed Insminger.
Huge play for Shando.
Cowling is under center. You see Payne and Fox in the backfield. Cowling with play action. He's going to fire. Pass is intercepted by George Aston as he took it away from a Salem receiver heading down the far sideline and brought down at the 15.
Now that's what Shando needed right there.
Insminger takes a snap. He's dropping back, looking to that left side. Under pressure, decides not to let it go. Still under pressure. And he is going to be sacked on the play back at the 45-yard line by number 20, Cody Paragoy, coming in to contain Insminger, make sure he didn't take off, and brings him down for the sack. Insminger will take the snap. He will keep it, head up the middle, but he will be stopped by Salem. The ball comes out. Salem says they have it, and the referees agree. First down, Salem. We talked about turnovers at halftime, and that may be it. Again, they come out in the I formation, and again, Coleman Fox, the deep back. They'll hand it off to Fox. Trying to get around the outside there. Still on his feet. He's met by Rhett Morris. The ball comes out. We'll see who's got it. The Warriors say they have it. Still no official signal yet. Reed Ensminger comes out with the ball.
Still waiting for the call.
And now they give the ball to the Shando Warriors.
This is what they wanted. Here you go. This could be that big mistake.
It is 2nd and goal from the 2. Ensminger takes the snap. He's going for the end zone. We have no signal.
Touchdown.
There it is. Touchdown for the Warriors. Reed Ensminger. And the crowd comes to life as well as that Shando sideline. We have our first points of the ball game on a QB keeper. Cowling under center. Cowling. Play action to Fox. He's looking to throw. The pass knocked down at the line by 81. Tyler Hamilton. That will make it 3rd down. They have the ball at the Shando 47. Cowling dropping back. Under pressure for the first time, and he's going to be brought down for a sack. All the way back at the 49-yard line, and for Shando, number 71, Kyle Warren in on the sack. Cowling in the shotgun. Payne in the backfield. You got trips to the left. One receiver is glad into the right. Cowling gets the snap. He's under pressure. He fires and he's hit. It's incomplete, and the Warriors make a 4th down stand. The Shando Warriors are going crazy with 1:47 to go. Salem has just one timeout left.
All right, 5 seconds here. Now they got 2 guys back. Let's see if they do anything interesting with it.
He will kick a line drive punt. Taken by Fox. There is no time left on the clock. This is it. Fox running around. He's still on his feet. He's getting contained now, though, to the 40-yard line.
That's the game.
Stop. The Shando Warriors will be heading to Lynchburg for the 4A state championship game.
Congratulations to the Shando Warriors. They'll be representing the 4A North down in Lynchburg.
What a game, folks. 1 touchdown is all we had. It was from 2 yards out way back in the 3rd quarter. Reed Ensminger punching it in after a fumble by Coleman Fox set him up in Salem territory for the start of that drive. Congratulations to Salem as well on having a great season.
So there you have it, Shando back in the state title game for the first time since that 2007 year where Ross Matheny had him up 10-7 over Amherst in the 2nd quarter before breaking his ankle. There's a lot of people out there on the western end of the Winchester-Stevens City area that are just anxious about getting back in this game. But, David, they've got to see Dinwiddie, one of the toughest teams we've seen all year long. This is going to be a tough matchup for Shando.
It is going to be an extremely difficult matchup for Shando. However, I think that defense may rise to the occasion. That could really be the difference this week. Again, if they put up another great defensive effort like they did last week and find a way to put the ball in the end zone, they could come out the champions.
Well, I'll tell you this, nobody saw them shutting out Salem. That tells you how great their defense is playing. We saw Woodgrove playing good defense, and Salem put up 40-something against them. So this is a message, I think, from Shando. Look out. The defense might be able to carry them, as David said here. All right, let's talk about the old Centerville Wildcats here. The team we projected as our #1 team in the Gameday Power Poll back in preseason. Well, they've done nothing but run out front all season long. 14-0 now. They beat Westfield 35-14. Game really wasn't that close. At times, Westfield would kind of make it a little tighter, but they never really truly threatened the Wildcats here, David. This was a win where we saw all the playmakers that had to make plays. Scotty Walter, A.J. Turner, and the guys doing just that.
Yeah, not only did they do it on the offensive side, but we saw playmakers on the defensive side of the ball step up. Christian Brooks and Josh Smith both had great games along the defensive line, and the linebacker corps just did their job all day. Tyler Love coming back again adds a lot to that defense for them. So, you know, again, I agree. They won the game. It was raining or everybody was hurt. Centerville just flat out won this game.
Yeah, they played really, really well. Let's send you out here to our moments of glory at Centerville High School, where I had the call with Chris Barrasso on the Gameday Broadcast Network.
Motion, Turner, handoff, Boost, cuts it back, touchdown! Taylor Boost puts Centerville ahead. 6-0 pending the extra point. It'll be 7-0 Wildcats. 3rd down is short. Walter will keep it, and he's going to lean into the end zone. Touchdown, Centerville.
I like the play call. Keep it simple. Good push from that offensive line, led by number 70, Josh Smith on that play.
4th down and 8. Scoville in the shotgun, back to back. Looking to the corner, and it is caught! Oh my goodness, what a catch! Yes! 1st and goal, Westfield.
Burns just lays out. Scoville lays it up for him to make the play. He uses his speed to outrun the defender to the ball. He gets both hands on it. The ball does hit the turf.
1st and goal, handoff Evan Gray. Bounces to the right, and he's in for the touchdown. Westfield scores. So a big play here. The Wildcats to the line of scrimmage on 4th down and 1. There's Walter. He'll send Turner in motion. And he's just going to keep it running right. Walter cuts it up. He's going to be free. Past the 10. Touchdown, Wildcats.
Andy, how many times you see that on a 4th and 1? Defense brings everybody up to the line of scrimmage. And if you can get to the 2nd level, you're gone.
Walter under center. Quick toss near side to Turner. Turner looking for the sidelines. Got it. Inside the 30 to the 25-20. Still on his feet. Tiptoe, and he's going to score. Touchdown, A.J. Turner.
What'd you say, Andy? Hand me the factor? Well, that's why you throw the ball out there against that man-to-man matchup.
So Westfield football trailing by 3 touchdowns. They'll come out with 3 wide receivers into the near side. Scoville hands it off. Evan Gray. He's got some running room. Look out. Nobody down the sideline. Gray turns on the Jets at the 20. He's going to score. Touchdown, Westfield. Just like that, Evan Gray puts one on the board for the Bulldogs. 1st and goal for Centerville. Trying to put it away. Pitch to Turner. He's got some blocks in front. Turner makes the cut. Look it. The Wildcats go up by 3 scores. And here they come to Charlottesville.
So now we've got one game left to talk about, and it's the Brier Woods Falcons and the North Stafford Wolverines. And this game was unbelievably exciting down the stretch. I mean, now Brier Woods really kind of dominated this game in a lot of ways here, Bruce Bornarth. We were kind of shocked looking at the scoreboard. At one time, it's 21 to 6 or 7, whatever it was. They had a pretty good-sized lead. But the way this one finished, I don't think anybody saw it. North Stafford with a chance to tie. On a Hail Mary, they throw the touchdown pass. We're going to show it to you in a minute. What were you thinking when you're watching this?
You're thinking, what happened? Did what I just saw really happen? This game got started in the 4th quarter. Brier Woods is driving down the field. They're at the 5-yard line getting ready to go in for the game's first score. They put the ball on the ground. 95 yards later, now you've got North Stafford up 6-0, getting ready to kick the extra point. They missed the extra point, so they're only up 6. The whole game till late in the 4th quarter. Brier Woods comes back, builds a lead, had a great play along the way that stopped a touchdown. It looked like that a sure touchdown, and now North Stafford is going to go up by 2 touchdowns. Didn't happen. Brier Woods stops them on the 5-yard line. They go backwards and score, and then Brier Woods builds that lead. You think the drama's over at that point? No, it's late. Here comes North Stafford right back at him again. They score. Brier Woods scores, has a chance to make it a 9-point lead. Missed the extra point. I've only seen him miss one other extra point the entire season. And then the Hail Mary at the end, and then the goal line stand. And what was, you talk about Devontae Purvis, the running back for that team, and all-world. Well, Brier Woods held him to 76 yards on 26 carries. After the timeout, they put him in. He was not on the field to do the extra point. Brier Woods called a timeout to set the defense. Then they brought Purvis in after the timeout, gave him the ball, and Brier Woods stopped him inches short.
It's a great finish. I mean, we were picking stuff up at Centerville, and I saw the game score, and I knew there wasn't much time left, and I said, oh, it looks like Brier Woods is going to win. I came back up after going down and getting some interviews and picking some stuff up, and Barassa goes, you won't believe what happened in that game. And I said, there's no way. You had no time left. There was 0.6 on the clock.
0.6 seconds on the clock.
I mean, just shows you got to play every second of the game. Hey, Don't take our word for it. One of the great games we had all season long, right here online at GameDayMagazine.com. You can come back and watch the full replay. But now let's send you out here to to John Champ High School, where Bruce Bornarth nearly passed out in the booth calling this one.
Polk goes in motion. McSorley's going to keep it. First down near the 7-yard line. Ball's picked up off the ground. There was no whistle. This may go back all the way. I don't see any flags. I don't see any whistles. This is going to go 95 yards in the hands of Tyler Baker. Let's see the signal. And they show touchdown. Ruled a fumble. Tyler Baker, 95 yards the other way, just when it looked like the Falcons were knocking on the door. Play action again. McSorley rolling right. Diving interception made at the 25-yard line by Keon Carter. McSorley to throw again. Deep across the middle. Has it complete to Mark Birmingham with the 30. Birmingham on the loose. Mark Birmingham to the house from Trace McSorley. McSorley in the gun again. Hinton behind him. Trace to throw. A lot of time going deep down. Polk's wide open behind everybody. Polk at the 20. Have your ham sandwich on the way to the end zone. Brandon Polk. The defender fell down. Purvis left side looking for running room. Trying to get to the corner. Stopped short of the first down. The fumble again. Is he down or not? No. Fumble recovered by Brier Woods. Melvin Holland Jr. with the recovery. McSorley made the tackle. 2nd and 4. McSorley got 6. Trace to throw again. Lofts it to the back corner of the end zone. Up in the air. Tristan Carter. 2nd and 9. Still empty backfield. McSorley across the middle, batted and intercepted again. Bailey again. Tyler Bailey down the far sideline, still on his feet. Run down by Polk inside the 40 at the 42. Looked like that ball got tipped at the line of scrimmage and went right into the arms of Tyler Bailey. Surratt, play action, looking right, lets it fly. This is tipped in the air and picked off by the Falcons. Coming with the football, Jake Mercill. To throw. Tipped again. This one's picked off again. Who's got it? Your best guess, Tyler Bailey. Bailey's still on his feet. Bailey finally down at the 31-yard line. Every play today that seems to have been made by North Stafford, Tyler Bailey. Sorely. Batted in the air, tipped in the air, is just picked once again. Who's got the football? One of the linemen. Now the football's on the ground. Both teams say it's their ball. Now, this is
like the
interesting.
Ball came out, though.
If it was intercepted, then fumbled, it's a first down.
Yeah.
No, they say it's North Stafford football. Again, this Wolverine defense makes a play. Here come the Wolverines. A lot of time, just underway 4th quarter. Surratt down the far sideline. He's got a man at the 40, at the 30, still on his feet. Andre Hamilton. Andre Hamilton will score. Andre Hamilton goes the distance for North Stafford. McSorley under center for one of the rare times. McSorley, handoff, backfield towards the end zone. Still fighting. No signal yet. Touchdown Falcons. Being kicked into the wind by Nick LaFranchi. Purvis may have a chance. This one's high. Taken by one of the up guys at the 20-yard line. Andre Hamilton. Hamilton with Purvis blocking in front. Hamilton outside the numbers far side. Still on his feet. Andre Hamilton's got a caravan in front. He may go. He's down the sideline and finally run out of bounds at the Briarwood 29-yard line. Andre Hamilton. Sly the fullback deep back with 2 blockers behind in front. Handoff Sly. Slide towards the end zone. Indication, yes, touchdown. North Stafford. It comes at 1:42 left to go in the fourth quarter to cut the lead to 27-19. Extra point pending. Joseph Slide made his last one. It's on the way. It's blocked, and it's no good. It's an 8-point lead, 27-19. Brier Woods, 1:42 left. Ante Purvis to back into the backfield. You could dump it off to Purvis and let him create. Surratt still on his feet, rolling. Heaves it up towards the end zone. It's up in the air. It's caught. Did he score? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? On the deflection, it's a touchdown for North Stafford. Do you believe that? Back to their conventional look. Pachonik wide left. Sly motion. Surratt is going to give it to Purvis. Purvis, did he make it? No! The defense holds for the Brier Woods Falcons. The Brier Woods Falcons overcome 7 turnovers today and will play for a chance to win their 4th straight state championship. What a thriller. Hayes likes to call it an instant classic. Well, we've got one right here. 27-25. Brier Woods hangs on by a thread.
So a crazy finish. Brier Woods punches their ticket to their 4th consecutive state championship game, something we've never seen in this area, and it's rarely been done across the state of Virginia. Amherst is one that I can think of. Back in the day, they didn't win them all, but they were in 4 straight. But here's the thing. Great accomplishment for Charlie Pierce and the Falcons. Bruce, give us a final thought on this game. What does this do for Brier Woods going into this week?
Well, first off, for you, Amherst played in 4 in a row, but there's been 2 teams that have won 4 in a row in the history, that at least what I could look up along the way. Guess who? Phoebus and Hampton.
Right.
Have won 4 in a row. Brier Woods with a chance to match that. They will play in their 4th in a row. But I'm going to tell you one thing, to wrap this thing up, great win. But you look at the last 2 weeks for Brier Woods, and we'll get into this more when we break down the games. They've turned the ball over some 15 times in the last 2 games. Turned it over 7 times and won this week. Turned it over, I think it was 6 the week before, so 13 turnovers in 2 games. You're not going to win a state title doing that.
No, especially against LC Bird, who's just happens to be waiting down the road in Richmond for this one. All right, folks, we're going to step aside for a quick break. When we get back, it'll be time for Inside the Huddle. We've got 7 good questions to talk about, storylines here coming up for championship weekend. We'll do that and more right after this.
My name is Dr. Felix Yuska, and both my wife and I own the Spine and Joint Health Center here in Fairfax City. I'm originally from this area. I grew up and went to Robinson High School. Played football for the Robinson Rams there, graduated in '91. One of the advantages that a student athlete has here is they always have, the parent that always has access to me. So here in our office we have access to, ultrasound, muscle stem, Russian stem, things to strengthen, take the inflammatory response out of the joint process for those athletes so that they recuperate much faster. At the Spine and Joint Health Center, we would like to be your team doctors so that we can go down this journey together, both on and off the field.
The Spine and Joint Health Center, offering patients superior, results-oriented care, proudly serving Northern Virginia with the finest spine and joint care.
When ice and rest aren't enough, it's time for you to call Robin O'Connor at Integrated Sports Medicine and Physical Therapy. Integrated Sports Medicine and Physical Therapy provides Lowden and Fairfax with the finest physical therapy around. Hundreds of high school athletes have trusted Integrated Sports Medicine and Physical Therapy to help them get back on the field. Don't let that injury go untreated. Call Integrated Sports Medicine and Physical Therapy today at 703-724-7474 or visit us online at integratedsportspt.com. It's where athletes go to get back in the game.
We're back here on Gameday All-Access. Andy Hayes, Bruce Bornarth, David Liddle with you here. Fellas, time for Inside the Huddle, where today we'll play a little buy or sell, talk about some of the top storylines here coming up towards Championship Saturday. And let's go ahead and kick this thing off here. We'll start maybe with the big matchup with Centerville and Oscar Smith. 2 years ago, this was a 47-21 game, and the speed advantage was clear on the field here. David Liddle, will start with you. Buy or sell, Oscar Smith will have more speed going into this game, just like they did 2 years ago.
I'm going to buy it, but really only because I'm not certain of where Oscar Smith's speed lies. We know that McLeese on the backside. We know Fenner and a couple of other receivers can run well. But Centerville has a lot of kids. I'm talking about 10 plus that run that 4.7 and better range, right? And I'm talking about linebackers and defensive linemen as well as the skill guys. So I don't know if they really do have that big of an advantage. It certainly isn't the advantage that they enjoyed in the 11 game.
Would you say that the fastest guys at Centerville are as fast as the fastest guys at Oscar Smith?
Amen.
Okay. Because that wasn't the case 2 years ago.
Look, 2 years ago, you know, in 2011, you basically had Brett Fight may have been the fastest kid on the field for Centerville, but the big guys who had to do it, Manny Smith was a 4.75 runner. You know, Chase Walter and Connor Coward were both in that 4.6, 4.7 range. You know, Centerville's got 4 or 5 kids that are 4.5 and better on this club. So I think it's a decided difference in this game between 2011 and 2013.
What about you, Bruce?
I'm going to sell it as well. I think the gap is closed, at least in this matchup, from the speed gap anyway, what it used to be from Virginia Beach area to the Northern Virginia area. I don't think it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be a factor because I think it's going to even itself out.
All right. I think I'm going to sell it a little bit too. I do think Centerville has what you'd call 7.57 speed compared to what it was a couple years ago. I think this team has that. And we'll find out if they've got enough of it. That's always a key question. So, you know, keep your eye on that on Saturday. All right, buy or sell here. The rain that is scheduled to be on the horizon here for Saturday will hurt Briarwoods more compared to LC Bird. Bruce, buy or sell?
I'm going to sell it. And I'm going to look at this. Briarwoods, their 3 state titles came on turf. This one's being played on natural grass. Natural grass is what they have at Briarwoods. It was sloppy and it was a mess 2 weeks ago. In fact, they played at John Champ on turf because Briarwoods Field Saturday morning was just underwater. And Briarwoods handled, with few exceptions, that wet, sloppy turf. I don't think it's going to be an issue for them at all.
What do you think, David?
I'm going to buy this one. I think Briarwoods has a nice balanced attack, and I believe they're going to have to be able to throw the ball some and make cuts on their routes in order to really be effective. LC Bird, they pound the ball, pound the ball, pound the ball. You may see them run the ball 40, 45 times and put up 300 yards in their normal games, right? So they're kind of used, I think, to that mutter.
It'll be an interesting thing. I think, you know, anytime you take the passing game and put it up in jeopardy with rain, you know, you're hurting a guy like Trace McSorley because he's an accurate passer. Same thing is true with Terrence Irvin. I mean, those two guys are 2 of the best passing quarterbacks in the state of Virginia, and I think it hurts both sides. But I'll say it probably hurts Briarwoods a little bit more for one reason. They're not strong in the running game without Trace being healthy. So they're going to lean on that passing game. And if it's freezing rain or rain coming down, what are they going to do? Because they can't line up and pound the football at LC Bird, I don't think, just based on what I know about LC Bird. You know what I mean? And we haven't seen Briarwoods do that all year long. So that plays in the favor a little bit of the Skyhawks some. So I'm with you, David. I'll buy that a little bit. All right, buy or sell here. Shando taking on Dinwiddie. Shando all year long has been an underdog, but in this one they will be a big underdog. Buy or sell, David?
I'm going to buy it, and I think Dinwiddie has showed so far that, you know, they are probably the team to beat here in the 4A. But again, we talked about the last segment. Shando, they can hold their defensive line, man. If they can do the job that they did last week, they can certainly narrow that gap, and they can possibly find a way to win. But yes, I think going in, they should be the big underdog.
I'm going to sell it. I'm going to sell it based on look what happened last week. I think most would argue or take the viewpoint that Salem was the favorite in that game last week, going to Shando, and for Shando to pitch a shutout and win a game 7-0. You know, it's one thing, I think, to hold a shutout when you've got a more comfortable lead, but when you're only up 1 score, the pressure's on every single play, and Shando answered the bell on that, and I think that makes a difference from last week, confidence-wise, going into this week.
Yeah, I talked to Coach Bill Hall after the game, congratulated him on the great win, and he texted me back and said, "Hayes, I told you a long time ago this season you had to get on the bandwagon before the last week." And I said, "Coach, I'm on, man. I never left." They call me Andy Shirando Hayes out there, but, you know, I think a lot of people have been hesitant to jump on the bandwagon, because we've seen teams at Shando over the past 4 or 5 years after that 07 appearance in the state finals that we kind of thought, hey, this team could go back and maybe challenge, or hey, this team's got all the ingredients, and they just haven't. This one has it all. Now, the key thing was, we said at the beginning of the year, hey, there's no way they're beating Phoebus. Just a foregone conclusion. You win your sectional final, congrats, game over, season's over. Well, Dinwiddie's not Phoebus. They're good. They're a former Division 5 team, but they're not Phoebus. And I think that's one thing going in the favor of Shando. They don't look at that the same way. I think they look at Dinwiddie, and I think they see that, hey, if we play well, we can win this football game. Dinwiddie hasn't seen a physical team like Shando either, I don't think, all season long. We'll see how it all works out. All right, how about this one? Buy or sell? Weather in the forecast, guys. I mean, rain, snow, depends on the location. It's going to be dicey at times here on Saturday. Should they move the games to Sunday, where they're calling for sunny 45-degree weather? Buy or sell, David?
I'm going to buy this, and it's not so much about the game, because this is football and the elements certainly play in it. I'm looking at this from a safety factor for people traveling to and from. Those are some tough roads you got to go through Lynchburg or down in Salem or Charlottesville, and it's a major danger, I think, for the kids traveling, the buses that are going, the parents. To me, that's what should be taken into consideration here.
What do you think, Bruce?
David makes a great point. I'm going to buy his point, and I agree from a travel standpoint and a safety reason you do that. You've got kids driving up and down the road, buses and all. I've made that trip in the rain and in the snow in the middle of the night from Lynchburg all the way back up, and it's a gradual grade from Lynchburg all the way to Charlottesville, and it is icy and messy, and it gets cold and it stays frozen. Now, having said that, from a game standpoint, just in the bubble, right, I'm going to sell it all the way. You play it in the elements. We've seen it before. You play the hand that you're dealt. I think they should be as long as there's not a safety issue there, and I'm talking about lightning, something like that. If the fields are playable, play the game. You've got 2 of them on grass and 1 of them on turf. Play them.
I think everybody wants to see the games played no matter what. But I do think that you have to consider what David said heavily. The VHSL is in a really tough spot right now, because obviously everybody's expecting to go on Saturday, and they have a tough spot because they don't know for sure. I mean, things could shift, and all of a sudden Sunday becomes dicey. I mean, that's the hard part about weather. I mean, that's what they say, if you don't know what you're talking about, go be a weatherman, because they get it wrong all the time. I really feel like in this case, they got to make a best guess on this thing, and I know the safety will be considered for sure. I would move the games if I felt like there was a real safety danger. I would agree with David on that. If they feel like there's a chance people can get a window of time in and come to the game and then get home, then you play the games on Saturday. So again, I don't envy the folks at the VHSL on this one. This is a tough one. All right, here we go. Buy or sell. Good chance to sweep 3 of the games that our teams are playing in here. Do you think that the local teams have a chance to bring it all home? Buy or sell? What do you think, Dave?
I'm buying this. 3 or 4 weeks ago when the playoffs started, we talked this exact same question, but we said the 4 classifications. And at that time, I said I liked it, but Loudoun Valley scared me a little bit in 3A, right? I definitely see that there is potential for all 3 of these Northern Virginia teams or the North region to come up with wins this week.
All right, Bruce, do you agree with that?
I don't know. How many of these teams are undefeated that the North is going up against here now?
Pretty good.
A lot pretty good. I mean, there's some pretty good teams. Now, we don't know what the competition's like down there. They don't know what the competition's really been like up here and what we're going to see. But just from an odds standpoint, winning 3 out of 3, let's say, the odds aren't all that good.
So you're going to sell?
I'm going to sell it.
All right. I'm going to sell it too. A three-peat on this weekend, that's going to be tough.
But it says, is there a good chance?
Good chance. There is a good chance.
Good chance.
Technical default win for Dave here. All right, buy or sell. The best matchups that we've seen in the state finals across all the games in a long time. What do you think, Bruce?
I'm going to buy that one. I mean, I think these are great. I think they're exciting. You looked at some of the matchups in the past, and you could see a clear-cut underdog, or what you thought anyway should be an underdog in that situation. I don't see it this year. Some would say that a few of the Northern Virginia in 6A wins, I think it is is it's something in the neighborhood of 11 or 12 out of the last 16 6As have come from Northern Virginia. And I think in a handful of those, you could say that they were upsets. This time around, I think these are potentially some of the best matchups we've seen.
What do you think, David?
I'm going to sell this. I think last year, those were great matchups. The Ocean Lakes LC Bird 6A was a great game, right? The 5A game between Lake Taylor and who in the world?
Stonebridge.
Stonebridge.
Yeah, Stonebridge.
That was a great game. They both came down to kind of like the final drives or 2 drives. I wasn't there for the 4A, but you know, those were great matchups, and they were even matchups, you know. But these are great matchups as well. This could be a really exciting weekend of football.
Well, I know last year Bruce called a 52-0 game in the state final with Brier Woods and Heritage.
But the 3A game was a heck of a game.
3A game was great. Brookfield and James Monroe. I would say they're more even this year. You know, I think with the reclassification, you got some teams, obviously 14-0, 13-1, you know, 2 14-0 teams going at it. I think this is the best matchup. I'll tell you why I think this weekend is the best it's been in a while. The storylines. I mean, you can't write this stuff any better. You got a quarterback going, you know, for a 4th consecutive ring that, you know, that never happens in this state. I'm just telling you, you just don't see that very often. You got another team across the way, you know, that they're going to be playing against going for their 2nd straight state title, and they haven't lost since they won it last year. You got a running back who's only 27 yards away from, you know, claiming the top 4 spot in the VHSL history book for yards in a single season, and Earl Hughes at LC Bird. I mean, that's a great storyline right there, right? The first time in history that we have found that 2 reigning state champions are playing for a state title.
I was going to say, and they're both at different levels this year.
There are examples of
one came down,
right,
one went up.
Right.
There's examples of teams that have won the last 2 state titles playing in the playoffs, but we can't find any, you know, record of them playing in the state finals. You history buffs out there in the VHSL, maybe you can send us a stat to prove us wrong. We'll put it out there, but that's a great storyline. So for that reason, plus you've got the rematch of 011, and maybe it's a different story for Centerville. They think it's going to be. I like it. Shando making a return trip. There you go. You book it for me. That's the best, you know, weekend of matchups that we've had in a long time. James Monroe, who's been trying to get over the hump,
right?
They climb back in it. It just goes on and on and on. All right, here we go. Buy or sell. The finals will be high scoring this weekend. Bruce.
I'm selling that one all the way. And it's not because of the weather, although the weather can be an equalizer when it comes to scoring and keeping them low scoring like that. I'm looking at the defenses and what some of these teams have done the past 2 weeks and the way they've played. I'm looking at low scoring games.
What do you think, David?
I'm going to go with that. I'm going to also sell this. Or is that? Yeah, sell it. Because, you know, 1-2 as far as the 6A. Oscar Smith, #1 defense in the state. Centerville's #2. LC Bird's got a great defense. Brier Woods got a great defense. We've already talked about Sharando's defense, what they can do. I'm going to say, combined with the weather factor, it's going to be a low-scoring weekend.
All right, I'm gonna sell it as well. I think low scoring is the ticket. Weather will play a big part in that here, unless they move it to Sunday. Then we might be high scoring. Who knows? That's it for Inside the Huddle here. We'll step aside for a quick break, show you the top 10 plays from last week. We're stretching, guys. We only had 4 games to show you, so bear with us. But here are the top plays from last week here on the Gameday Broadcast Network.
The top 10 plays of the week on the Gameday Broadcast Network are proudly presented by Verizon Wireless, the official wireless provider of the Gameday Broadcast Network.
Cowling is under center. You see Payne and Fox in the backfield. Cowling with play action. He's going to fire. Pass is intercepted by George Addison as he took it away from a Salem receiver heading down the far sideline and brought down at the 15.
Now that's what Shando needed right there.
Back in the gun with the bunch set to the near side. Warner rolling right. It's thrown into the end zone and picked off. Sully Warner was nearly brought down, kind of rushed his throw, and it was picked off in the end zone by big number 55. That's Dylan Moran.
A Westfield football trailing by 3 touchdowns. They'll come out with 3 wide receivers into the near side. Scoville hands it off. Evan Gray's got some running room. Look out. Nobody down the sideline. Gray turns on the Jets at the 20. He's going to score. Touchdown, Westfield. Just like that, Evan Gray puts one on the board for the Bulldogs.
McSorley to throw again. Deep across the middle. Has it complete to Mark Birmingham with the 30. Birmingham on the loose. Mark Birmingham to the house from Trace McSorley. Here come the Wolverines. A lot of time, just underway fourth quarter. Surratt down the far sideline. He's got a man at the 40, at the 30, still on his feet. Andre Hamilton. Andre Hamilton will score. Andre Hamilton goes the distance for North Stafford.
Walter under center, quick toss near side to Turner. Turner looking for the sidelines, got it. Inside the 30 to the 25-20. Still on his feet, tiptoe, he's gonna score. Touchdown, A.J. Turner.
What'd you say, Andy? Hand me the factor? Well, that's why you throw the ball out there. It's a hand-to-hand matchup. Back to their conventional look. Pachonic wide left. Sly motion. Surratt is going to give it to Purvis. Purvis, did he make it? Did he make? No! The defense holds for the Briarwoods Falcons. The Briarwoods Falcons overcome 7 turnovers today and will play for a chance to win their 4th straight state championship. What a thriller. Hayes likes to call it an instant classic. Well, we've got one right here. 27-25. Briarwoods hangs on by a thread. The two speedsters. Holt goes in motion. McSorley's going to keep it. First down near the 7-yard line. Ball's picked up off the ground. There was no whistle. This may go back all the way. I don't see any flags. I don't see any whistles. This is going to go 95 yards in the hands of Tyler Baker. Let's see the signal. And they show touchdown. Ruled a fumble. Tyler Baker, 95 yards the other way, just when it looked like the Falcons were knocking on the door. 3 yards on that play.
4th down and 8. Scoville in the shotgun, back to pass. Looking to the corner, and it is caught! Oh my goodness, what a catch! Yes! 1st and goal, Westfield.
Burns just lays out. Scoville lays it up for him to make the play. He uses his speed to outrun the defender to the ball. He gets both hands on it. The ball does hit the turf. Surratt still on his feet, rolling. Heaves it up towards the end zone. It's up in the air. It's caught. Did he score? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? On the deflection, it's a touchdown for North Stafford. Do you believe that?
Thank you for watching the Verizon Wireless Top 10 Plays of the Week on the Gameday Broadcast Network. For more coverage of Northern Virginia high school football, visit us online at GameDayMagazine.com and join the network today.
Welcome back to Gameday All-Access. Here, Andy Hayes, David Liddle, Bruce Bornarth. Good to have you here alongside on the Gameday Broadcast Network. I want to remind you, if you want to watch the games here on Saturday, or if they move to Sunday, depending on the weather, you got to do that at the NFHSnetwork.com, okay? It's not on GameDayMagazine.com this week. It's through the VHSL and the NFHS Network. Now, we're all heading down to do the ball games, so you'll hear our voices and see us, but the games are on that network. So make sure you guys write that down. Don't come to game day this weekend and sign up. You'd be confused why there's nothing going on. All right, here we go. Picks of the week now. Let's dive in. Start with the 3A game here. And we're going to do the 4 games that we've got an interest in or had, Northside on the air last week with us here. Northside taking on James Monroe. James Monroe, Bruce, has been a perennial state title, contender here. They've been in it. They've struggled, though. Brookville's been standing in their way the last couple years here. What happens this week? Can Northside do what Brookville's done to them and send them home with a disappointing loss?
I really do think that's what's going to happen. You go all the way back to Broad Run's run down at Liberty, and it seems like James Monroe, the Bees, have been just or Jackets have been a fixture in that game. I think they won 1 just haven't gotten it done. Last year, I think, was among their best chances, and I think they graduated a lot last year. I like Northside.
All right, taking Northside. What do you think, Dave?
We talked about Northside and what their defensive line did to control that game against Lowden Valley. James Monroe, always the bridesmaid, not quite the bride. I'm going to go with Northside.
You're taking Northside as well. I'll tell you what, to me, this is a game where, you got to go with experience in the state finals, but yet Northside won it a couple years ago, so they've been there. And then what I saw on film against Lowden Valley is, there's nobody that James Monroe has that's going to block these two cats up front. These two big defensive tackles that Northside's got out there. I think that's the difference in this game. And again, weather will play a part. But let's say it is bad weather. What do you want to have? A team that's fast or a team that's got some size and strength that's going to wear you down? That's what Northside has. They've got a good tailback and a big time front seven. So I'm taking Northside as well because they're going to win the trenches. And I think that's how this game is going to be won here on Saturday. All right, we'll move on to our second game to talk about. 4A state final featuring the Dinwiddie Generals and the Shando Warriors. And the crew from Stevens City heading down Friday with a chance to maybe get a little redemption for the program after losing in 07 to Amherst here. Kind of a similar situation. Up against a team that everybody said you had no shot against. And Ross Matheny, back in his day, he wasn't listening to that. And the Warriors were up in that game before he went down with a broken ankle here. Bruce, can they prove everybody wrong? Is this an opportunity for Shando to say, you don't know us, you don't understand how good we are, once more, here you go?
Absolutely, I think it is. I don't think there's been a team over the past 5-6 years that has been more focused, I think, than Shando getting back to there. They lost their star early in that last championship game, and if I'm not mistaken, they had the lead at that point. Ross Matheny goes down, and they end up losing that game. Now, you're not going to put everything on one kid's shoulders or one injury in the course of the game, but I think we talk about what if, and I think Sharando's been asking their question, what if? They're seeking their first state title, and I think it's going to happen this week. We talk about destiny a lot this year. I think the theme of many of our shows here on Game Day have been teams of destiny, and you can't really explain it, you can't really figure it out, but you just have this feeling that it's Sharando's turn.
I kind of feel where you're coming from. What do you think, Dave?
Well, I'm going to actually go the other way. I say this is going to be Dinwiddie's game. Sharando's had a fabulous season. We talked about the defense and how it's probably going to be a low-scoring game. Dinwiddie is a high-scoring offense. I think they're going to get enough out of that offense to get them over the hump and get the win.
To me, you take on a team like Dinwiddie, the number one thing you got to do is you got to hit them in the mouth. I mean, you have to come downhill at them, and you got to play punishing football. They did that against Salem. Shando did last week. I'm not going to say I wasn't a little surprised. I was surprised. But they dominated up front. And not only did they dominate, but they just punished them. And the linebackers and the fullbacks and those guys were wearing people out in that game. Listen, I personally think Dinwiddie is a great football team, but I don't think they've seen a Shando where up front they're going to get pounded all game long. And they're going to come right after them. Now, to me, that's a difference maker, especially in a bad weather game. You better have some bruisers in there, and that's what Shando has. I'm not so sure that Dinwiddie's got enough up front to slow this Shando team down or to run the ball against them. That's just my opinion, based on what I saw last week against Salem. So I'm taking the Shando Warriors. So there you go. David will be the only one that doesn't jump on the bandwagon here. All right, Bruce, I like that. Here we go. Let's go to the 5A game. You ready? Our preview here for LC Bird and Brier Woods. This is a great storyline game. You can go on and on and on for hours here about all the neat storylines coming into this one, Bruce. The fact of the matter is Brier Woods looking for state title number 4. LC Bird looking for state title number 2, back-to-back. Both teams have been dominant at times this year. At other times, it didn't look great. I mean, LC Bird struggled last week against Salem, had to score late to win that game. Brier Woods, 6 turnovers, 7 turnovers past couple games here. They've been really sloppy on offense. But I think we got the 2 best teams in 5A playing, don't you?
Well, I would agree it's the 2 best teams. But Andy hit on the turnovers. You look at it, you turn the ball over 6 times in one game, 7 times in the prior game. You're not supposed to win that game. I mean, in high school, you're lucky if you get 8 possessions in the course of an entire football game. And to turn it over that many times and still find a way to win the game, the danger in that, fellas, I think, is that Briarwoods may have, what the coaches have to guard against is that feeling of invincibility.
Right. That
we can do whatever thing, and no matter what happens, look what we did. We've survived 13 turnovers in the past 2 games. We survived the Hail Mary. We stopped the guy 2 inches from the goal line from sending us into overtime last week. We're invincible. Nothing can happen to us. You got to guard against that. And I'm going to tell you one thing, Falcons. You out there, you turn that ball over 6 times, you're going to get waxed this week. You won 52-0 last week. You turn the ball over that many times, get ready to be on the other end of that score.
All right, let's dive in and talk about some of the impact players to watch here. And David, let's dive in with LC Bird first here. Who's the one guy that Falcon fans should be worried about coming up on Saturday?
Well, Earl Hughes. I mean, again, we talked about how they like to run the ball, and that if it's a weather game, the elements are really, for my take, will factor in and help LC Bird. Hughes is a tremendous running back, but it's really their offensive line and the blocking schemes that they run, because every year, whether it was Paul Robertson last year or you go back year after year, LC Bird produces really good running backs with big numbers. There's a magic there. It's called offensive line play.
Right.
And I think that's what you're going to look at here. Terrence Irvin is, again, a good quarterback. If it's a weather game, again, he's going to have problems, as McSorley will, throwing the ball. So I think Earl Hughes is the key.
You know, Terrence Irvin, 27 touchdown passes, only 5 picks. I mean, he's an incredibly accurate quarterback. And so when you have that great running game, and then you do the play-action pass game on top of that, and you have a quarterback who doesn't make mistakes, it's incredibly tough to stop. And I think that Briarwood's defense, if they can contain these guys on Saturday, then we have completely undersold them all season long, because this is going to be the biggest challenge they've had. Again, remember, LC Bird was a 6A team last year, came down to 5A with the new classification. So, you know, you talk about, you know, they've been there, done that too. You know, this is probably the one time where Briarwood is going to go into the game and LC Bird's going to look at them like, who are you? You know what I mean? We've already been here before. And Briarwood's going to have to prove they belong on the same field with these guys. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, most definitely. And, you know, you talked about turnovers. Well, Coach Bedwell, he loves to have situations where he can play on a short field, control the clock, keep that offensive club on there. Last year against Ocean Lakes, first play of the game, Ocean Lakes from the offensive side threw a double pass touchdown, right? That was really all Ocean Lakes did the whole day, right, because Bedwell just got his guys clogging and chugging and going and doing, you know, 6, 7, 8 minute drives. And, you know, they only put up 2 touchdowns themselves. But again, that defense is tough, and that's really the type of game he looks forward to playing.
Bruce, if we could pinpoint one guy from Briarwoods that you feel like in this game is going to be the key guy, and I'm pretty sure I know you're going to say it, but who is it? Who are we looking at?
Well, obviously it's Trace McSorley, but you talked about it last week, that when Briarwood's defense moved B.J. Henson to the middle linebacker spot, that was a spot that they were missing. And I think the Briarwood's defense has really changed since they made that move. Now they've got that presence in the middle, other than McSorley coming all the way back from that safety position. So I think that is a huge key. And I think we talked about weather and sloppy fields. Talk about Brandon Polk. You know, the speed that he has, if that sloppy field negates his speed, that could be a factor. Let me give you one more kid, Brian Campazzoli on the line. You talk about the line. Him and Jared Coker on those lines are the kids to watch.
Well, it's going to be an interesting game, no question about it here. Prediction-wise, look, 2 reigning state champs. First time we've ever seen that in VHSL history here. Who do you have winning this game, Bruce?
I'm taking Briarwoods if they can take care of those turnovers. They've proven throughout the course of the season. They answered the question, what happens when Briarwoods moves up and starts playing real competition? They also answered the question, they avenged the only loss they've had in some 36 or 37 games now. So I think Briarwoods is ready for this. Briarwoods, they have an opportunity to join only Phoebus and Salem in winning 4 state titles in a row. They've already reached the mountain of playing in 4 in a row, but winning 4 in a row is just those 2 schools. And one more little stat factor. Trace McSorley and that freshman class that have been in this program for 4 years, they're going to end their careers either with 4 state titles and 4 total losses, or 5 and 3. Which way you want to go? Is that motivation?
It's incredible motivation. What a great what a great opportunity for those guys. David Liddle, what's your prediction in this game?
Well, weeks ago, I said Brier Woods was on a course to set up with LC Bird. I think LC Bird's physicality is going to be a difference in this game. I think Coach Bedwell has got a great club down there. I think that this is going to be LC Bird's day.
Let's get to our last game we're predicting here. Oscar Smith and Centerville. Rematch of the 2011 state championship game. It was a blowout. It was not even close. We called it. You know, unfortunately, Centerville a little bit overmatched in that game. Bruce, we've seen Centerville all year long. They've dismantled everybody up here. Can they beat Oscar Smith? That's the big question right now. Or are we going to see that they're Northern Virginia good and not state, you know, good and beating a 7-5-7 team? What do you think?
I think absolutely Centerville can. I think Centerville is clearly among the best teams we've seen in the past decade in this area. And the key thing, we talked about it earlier, is Centerville's speed. This is one of the fastest Northern Virginia teams I can remember in a long, long time. And that's always, not always, but that's been the major difference between the Virginia Beach schools and the Northern Virginia schools. I like Centerville's chances. I'm going to defer to my Centerville partner over here. And I will say this, Oscar Smith is the only beach school left.
They are, and that, you know, that's another question. We can talk about that a little bit later on. But David, your thoughts on this game about who we should be keeping an eye on for Oscar Smith? I know you've watched some film. Tell me a little bit about what they'll bring to the table here.
Well, look, the highlight for Oscar Smith is their defensive line. Josh Sweat is a 5-star 2015, class of 2015 defensive end. Andrew Brown, who is a UVA commit, who today was named the Gatorade National Player of the Year, is a 5-star defensive tackle. Okay, all year teams that Oscar Smith have played have doubled and triple teamed Andrew Brown, which has left it wide open for everybody else to go at. I don't think Centerville has to do that. The blocking schemes that Centerville runs out of that wing tee, Brown is not going to know who is going to hit him on every play. It's not like he's got that same guy lined up against him and he can figure out his tendencies. They come at you from so many different things that I think that Centerville feels that they can run on them. But Andrew Brown is a fabulous player. Josh Sweat is a fabulous player. Those are the two guys on the defensive side of the ball for Oscar Smith you're going to have to keep an eye on.
How about offensively? I mean, when the Wildcats have been playing defense this year, they've been coming downhill at people and really making it tough on them. But what is the one thing they've got to be concerned about on Saturday with Oscar Smith on offense?
Well, I think McLeese, Deshaun McLeese, who is the junior workhorse tailback for Oscar Smith. Last week he carried 40 times for 206 yards and a single touchdown in that performance. But what they can't do is find themselves in second and short situations, allowing Oscar Smith to do that. All year, what they've done to teams around Northern Virginia has put them in second and long, third and long by getting, they have over 100 tackles for loss this year. And again, a lot of those are on that first and second down. So if they can keep Oscar Smith in the second and third and longs and put the pressure on the freshman quarterback, Sean Mitchell, I think they got a shot to shut down that offense.
Sean Mitchell this year has thrown, if I'm not mistaken, 35 touchdowns, over 3,500 yards passing. He's a good one. And yet at the same time, and my old man says this every time we talk about quarterbacks that are freshmen in the college game, he goes, I'll take a freshman over a senior, even with more talent as a freshman, because he hasn't seen everything. Is there a chance, in your opinion, David, that this will be a big stage for him? Is there a chance the Centerville defense can make things a little bit tough on him if they have to put it in his hands to win the game?
Well, again, I think the key, if he finds himself in those second and third and longs and he's back there, I don't think Oscar Smith or anybody has seen a linebacker quartet that has the speed that Centerville does. And Coach Adam Neff, he uses those guys in a lot of different pressure packages. They can cover out of the backfield. They can rush the quarterback. They can stop the edge run. They can do a lot of things. So if they can get to him, and I just don't think that they've seen anybody like Chad Wiggins. Chad Wiggins goes on a mean streak with his speed and his side, and he hits Sean Mitchell a couple times, or Josh Smith. How Josh Smith crushed Scoville the other day, and when they hit Greg Stroman early in that game, it took its toll come fourth quarter. Right? So I think if Sean Mitchell finds himself getting hit all day because he has to pass the ball, I think Centerville has a very good shot at winning this.
All right, so when you look at this and break down the big question, which is, is Centerville good enough to win this football game? I think there's a lot of doubters out there, that Oscar Smith is not just head above heels better than everybody else, because that's the way it was in 2011. Why should people feel differently this time around versus last time? I guess that's the big question, because I even have the same kind of question in my mind. You know, we thought that Centerville team was playing as good as anybody in the state of Virginia that year, and yet when we got to that game against Oscar Smith, it was like night and day how good they were. So the question is, you know, after watching the film, your son's on the team, you certainly have a bias towards Centerville, there's no question about it, but you're an objective guy. Right. How much have they closed the gap is what I'm asking you.
Oh, I think it's an entirely different team, and I think you have to go back to the 2011 game. Number one, they came in there with injuries. Travis Whitney and Marcus Hillian, both big parts of that defensive line, were beaten up and banged up, and Whitney didn't even play. In the first quarter, Ken and Kenham, their Gatorade Player of the Year that year, goes down with an injury. That changed the complexion of that game totally. They didn't have the depth to overcome that. This team has the depth. Look at Game Day magazine tomorrow. There's another piece that I've written about their defensive line. They go 8 deep, and it's with size and speed. They got this 6'5" kid, Christian Brooks, who's a sophomore, who was fabulous and has been fabulous in the last 3 playoff games. They have so much depth at that defensive line. I think that is a huge difference. The second thing is the speed in the defensive backfield. A.J. Turner is as fast as any kid on Oscar Smith. Charles Tudd is as fast as any kid on Oscar Smith. Xavier Nickens-Iser is as fast as any kid on Oscar Smith. Chase Heiner, who nobody talks about, runs a 4.5. He's been in the 800. He was second in the state in the 800 last year. That kid can run. He can stay with just about anybody on that team from Oscar Smith. So I think that speed on the perimeter for Centerville is way, way different than what they had in 2011.
That's the million-dollar question, Brucey.
Well, and let me tell you what else the difference is. Isn't 2011 the Westfield kick game?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, right. All right. Centerville that year, I don't think had the attitude, the expectations, the confidence that we can win a state title. That was an upset against Westfield. Let's not forget, that was at Westfield.
Right.
Westfield was the team that was all highly touted. I think that there may have been a little bit of fatigue. I don't want to use the word letdown after that game, but they had made their season.
Well, they went to Hermitage, and that was another upset. They won a 10-3 game.
Right.
The following week.
But when they beat Westfield, I mean, that you could look back on it and says, wow, that was successful. This year, I think it's different. But you talked about the speed. I think that's the equalizer. But you mentioned one name, and you talk about the one kid that I don't think they can use, Chad Wiggins.
Well, there's no question that Centerville's got better speed. They have better players across the board. Their role players are better. Their young players are better. And the quarterback, I think, is the key guy, Scott Walter. If he plays well, they got a shot here. David, your prediction. I know where you're going. You're wearing the blue. What do you got?
Oh, I'm definitely going with Centerville. I mean, I've said it from the beginning. Let me tell you, the junior class, going back to their freshman year, then they went undefeated. They were waxing people 60, whatever to nothing. Those guys then were freshmen in 2011. They were friends with a lot of those kids. A lot of those kids were at my house. And those guys, those kids that were freshmen, they're now the core of this team as juniors, said then, when we are juniors, we are going to win the state championship. They didn't say it thinking, we're going to get to the state championship. It was, we are going to win the state championship. They firmly believe they're going to win this game.
All right, so David Liddle picks Centerville. Shocker there. Bruce, you said...
I'm taking Centerville.
Centerville.
I'm going Centerville.
Hope you enjoyed our breakdown here. You never know how it goes on Championship Saturday. The kids know this. They get one more game to play. They'll lay it all out on the field and let the chips fall where they may. And hopefully the weather doesn't cause too much of a problem for everybody. But we invite you to check it out on the NFHS Network at nfhsnetwork.com. That's where the games will be. For David Liddle, Bruce Bornarth, I'm Andy Hayes. We'll step aside for a quick break, come back with our Game Day Mailbag, and have Taylor Jensen join us here with some thoughts here right after this.
For us, we have my oldest son. We have 3 boys who've come through here. My oldest is 13, so we've been started coming to the camps probably about 7 years ago. It's really good for him. This is his home away from home during the summer, and been real good for his confidence building. The counselors are great. He interacts with them really well, and so when we've got each successive kid to get old enough to come here, and they've been really nice to let us come even a little early and do the full day camps for the younger guys. Same thing, you know, it's a real good confidence builder. They build up relationships with the coaches, and so that's kind of how it all started. And then we've brought them here for individual instruction, top notch, and brought teams in here as well. So this is It's the best facility in the area, hands down, for our money.
Come by and visit Diamond Sports Training today, where baseball season never ends.
Hello and welcome back here to Game Day All-Access. Time now for our Game Day Mailbag. And for that, we welcome in Taylor Jensen here alongside Bruce Bornarth. T, how you doing, man?
Not bad.
Got your Briarwoods orange on?
Absolutely. That's why I wore orange. Last show of the season.
Yeah.
Got to show my support.
I mean, you're hyping up the Falcon Frenzy. I see you on Twitter. Hey, we got the mailbag this week. Lots of questions. Actually, quite a few questions here. So let's dive in. Are you ready?
All right, let's go. First one. It's from Cavs Baller 95. Is Briarwoods or Centerville a better overall team, and which team deserves to win their respective state championships? That second part of the question bugs me. They both deserve it. Come on. Every team who makes it does.
They both deserve it. Bruce, this is a tough question to answer.
It's a tough question to answer. Look, he's got his Homer orange on. I got my Christmas red on. I had my Christmas green on last week. Look, I'm not taking a bait here, Cavs Baller 95. You know, you're just trying to get something started here, and you're just trying to get one of us in trouble. Whichever way we go, somebody's going to get mad at us. I'm not a baseball umpire. I don't care if I upset half of the stadium and the other half loves me. I'm staying right down the middle of this thing. No, I'm not going there. I'm not taking your bait. What is this, like a big mouth bass or what?
Just refusing to answer it.
Yeah.
You got to answer it.
You got to answer it. Throw him a bone. Is Briarwoods or Centerville a better overall team? I think it's a tie. I think it goes to penalty kicks.
I'll give you my take on this.
Go ahead.
I think there have been some Briarwoods teams in the past couple of years that could go toe-to-toe with Centerville. This isn't the team that could do that, I don't think. They don't run the football good enough like they have in years past from Briarwoods. I think the Centerville team is a better overall team, talent-wise, this year than what Briarwoods is. But I will say this, the experience of number 7, nobody at Centerville has that, okay? And the difference is the surrounding cast around Trace this year at Briarwoods is you don't have Matt Rowland, you don't have Cam Serenay, you don't have the Alex Carters of the world where that he could drop it off and all of a sudden the game's taken over by somebody else. Because again, Centerville has the ability to pressure one guy. But, when you got several guys, it's a much tougher deal. I think that's what makes Centerville better this year. They're a better defensive team, and they're better overall talent-wise than this year's Briarwoods team. But there's some Briarwoods teams over the past 4 years that could get in the mix on this one. Good question.
I think if you talk historically, the 2012 Briarwoods team, yeah. I mean, all the seniors with Matt Rowland, Cam Serenay, you named them. That's the team that could probably go toe-to-toe with them. Next up, we got at We Are Seville. Looking into next year, do you think the Wildcats will still be the top team in 6A North? You got to take into consideration Westfield, Lake Braddock.
Yeah, but Centerville loses nobody. Except for Scott Walter. Now, that's a big loss. Scott Walter is really the linchpin, in my opinion, as to why Centerville's in this game. He's that good as a quarterback. But, boy, you talk about next season. The young Farrick is getting ready to take over next year. Joe Farrick and his older brother Mitch led Centerville to a state final appearance in 2011. So, he's got it in his veins. His dad's a coach. He's got a good arm. I've watched him in camp and checked him out a little bit throwing the football. How much work is he going to have to do next year? He's got to throw the ball to Charles Tutton, hand it off to A.J. Turner, and hand it off to Xavier Nickens-Iser. And all those guys are coming back, minus Scott Walter on offense and then minus Chad Wiggins on defense. But Tyler Love, he's a heck of a football player. So, yeah, they're the top team in 6A the next 2 years. Guaranteed. Put it down.
I think you can argue, and it is a great argument and a great debate, let's call it, where does Centerville rank this year among all the great teams that we've seen in the past 10, 15 years that we've been doing this and covering them? One thing I don't think you can debate is I can't remember another team, you guys correct me if you disagree, that has more depth than this Centerville team. You talk about next man up. They proved that this season. They had guys go down. They had the next guy step up and didn't lose but maybe about half a beat. Now, you're going to lose maybe, I'm not going to say your 2 best players, but maybe your 2 most valuable players in Chad Wiggins and Walter, the quarterback. But I still think that Centerville is the team going. They're the champions of the North this year. They should start the season as the champions of the North next year.
Yeah, I would agree with what Bruce is saying, just for the record. At the DC Sports Fans got the next one. If Centerville wins, where do they rank in all-time great Nova teams? And then he's got a follow-up question, too, and it's what about if they lose?
Well, first of all, you can't argue with 15-0. So when you're 15-0 and you've gone through the Concord District and then the 6A North playoffs, and you've beaten the best teams from really the old Northwest region where you beat Stonewall Jackson, who was a tremendous football team. You can't argue with 15-0, Bruce. You got to put them up there, if they win, among one of the great teams of all time, because they'll have beaten Oscar Smith, who is one of the top teams in the country. So that would put them way up there. They'd be put up there with the 15-0 Westfield team from 07. Certainly the great team back in the day from Robinson that dominated. The most dominating teams in this area, you'd have to mention Centerville 2013. If they lose, they go back into the fold of the great teams that couldn't get over the hump. That's what you say. I mean, they're a great team that couldn't win the final game if they lose. I don't think they're going to, by the way. But go ahead.
I think you separate 3 teams out if they win. And again, they're the state champion teams. The Westfield team, the second one, the Glennon Westfield team, the Stonebridge team that won their state title, and this Centerville team. I think the rest of the state champions along the way that have come from the north, you could make the argument that they were underdogs in those games.
Well, how about the 03 Westfield team? I mean, Tom Verbanek, who's a good friend of ours for a long time here at Game Day, who's the head coach of Westfield, said that team may have been the most talented team to ever play in this area. We talked about it a long time ago. I asked him on the spot. We were having a good time talking about the difference between the two teams, 07, 03. He goes, oh, it's hard to put those guys above Eddie Royal and Evan Royster. I mean, you're talking about NFL players now, and Sean Glennon. I mean, even though a veteran coach had a hard time saying 07 was better than 03, that's a tough argument.
Well, you put that and say you got the 4 schools.
Right. I mean, there's just, and then you got Brandon Hogan and that Osborne team in 06 that was, pretty darn impressive. So, I mean.
Well, I don't know. I mean, take Brandon Hogan off that team. And now
you can't take him off that team. He was on that team. He scored all their touchdowns.
I understand it. But
64 touchdowns, whatever it was. Crazy.
I think those 4 teams are the best teams, in my opinion, that that we've seen in this area. I think some of the other ones have been mild upsets along the way.
Well, you're old enough to remember the Titans and
Absolutely.
Annandale. And
I was here.
So, I mean, you're the only one that can speak to real history about over here. But, last 10 years.
He's the only one that was alive.
I know.
The Adams, and there was a time when Annandale, I think it was the 78, 77 Annandale team.
I was too.
There was the mythical, shut up.
I wasn't even in existence.
You weren't even a thought. You weren't
they
even
were
a
mythical
twinkle in the
national
eye.
champions.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, next up we got one from @Angel Ferrafino. Would school closings due to snow be unfair to Nova teams because of the disadvantage of having no practice? This is actually a good question. I do like this one. Bruce, I'll let you take it.
Yeah, it's probably a disadvantage. I would think so. If you can't practice, I mean, you can't even do walkthroughs in the gymnasium, I think, with schools closed. Schools closed, it's closed. I know in Loudoun County, you're not doing anything. Forget it. You're not getting access. You can't meet somewhere. It's been tried.
I think they loosened that up for the state championship week. I think they would allow Centerville to practice, in the gym.
I said Loudoun County.
I know. I'm just saying. I don't think they've been not able to practice.
Loudoun County.
I know, but we're talking about this week. Is Centerville at a disadvantage? I don't think they are at a disadvantage from a standpoint of not being able to hold practice.
Nova teams. Briarwoods is a Nova team.
Well, okay, fine, but at the end of the day, what we're saying is have they been able to practice? Yes. Have they been able to practice outside and go through a full rundown of what they want to do? No, that is a disadvantage.
Well, I'm telling you, Briarwoods has not. Well, Centerville may have been, but I'm sure that Loudoun County didn't let Briarwoods in practice.
Now, in all fairness, what I did hear, I don't know if it's true or not, that the Briarwoods was able to practice at the Redskins facility.
Right.
So that definitely pays off because, I mean, there you got a full facility that you can actually use and practice.
It's not going to be a huge disadvantage. Let's not make excuses already. Look, what do you really do on a Monday practice other than
usually walkthroughs anyway?
You're going through your game plan. It's not like you're going to win the state championship based on your Monday practice.
Right.
Yes, you need practice time. If you couldn't practice at all, could it hurt you? Sure. But they were able to practice, so let's not worry about it.
Well, let's look at one more thing. This is week 15 for these teams. So, if you're not ready now, stay home this weekend.
That's right.
All
right, next up we got one from @Alan Wichreich, which I'm hoping I pronounced that right. If I didn't, you can correct me on Twitter. Why did you compare Sharando's defense to Woodgrove's defense earlier in the year? Andy, you know more about all this stuff than anybody.
Pretty sure I did this personally. I think I said this. And I think he's asking the question to me. Okay. Why did you put us in their category instead of giving us a little more pub, because we shut out Salem. They gave up 40 to Salem. Bottom line is, I was wrong. I was dead wrong. I liked Woodgrove's defense. I thought they'd made a lot of strides, and they played really well toward the latter end of their season. But they're not in your category at Shando. They didn't shut Salem out. They didn't stop the run. Shando flat out played lights out defense against Salem. And that's the reason they have a chance to win a state final. They're coming up on Saturday. So really what he's saying is, you were wrong, Hayes. And you know what? I'm a big enough man to admit it. I was dead wrong. Your defense is way better than Woodgrove's defense. And your defense is way better than all the defenses in 4A North up here. Not even close. You can't shut out Salem and not have that argument. It's done. The argument's over. There you go.
Bruce?
Nothing to set the record straight. He doesn't get a chance to say, yes, Hayes was wrong. That don't give him that right. He can't do that.
He needs the satisfaction of rolling you under the bus. Because I got to go down to not Charlottesville, Lynchburg this weekend, so I'm going to see all you Shando people. You can let me know how wrong Andy was. I'm hard to miss. I'm 6'9". Come on. All right, next up.
At the time.
Oh, here we go.
At the time when the statement was made, Woodgrove was playing awful good defense. Now, what happened after that, I don't know. Did Shando get better? Was the competition different, and was that a factor? But at the time, you could make that argument, I think. I don't know how well you'd make it stick if you'd win the great debate making that argument, but I can understand where it came from at the time.
Did he just defend you?
He did. He defended me.
Hindsight's 20/20. You know, don't be living in the past. You can't change yesterday, but you can sure affect tomorrow. Get with the program. Move forward.
All right, next up, we got one from Nick Vasitis. If you could have one man from 2013 on the 2011 team, I'm assuming he's talking about Centerville, because I know his older brother personally, Matt Vasitis, played on that team in 2011. Right. Who would it be?
If I get one guy, let's make this about Briarwoods and Centerville. One guy from the 2011 championship, teams that went on to play in the state finals. You ready?
He's going to take my guy.
So if I could take one guy, I would take Connor Coward, because he was that guy for me. He was the it factor guy, on that team, in my opinion. I mean, a lot of people would take Kenny Canham, and Ken was a great player, don't get me wrong. But what Connor Coward did for that team in 2011, he was playing even at a higher level than Canham all year long. So I personally would go with that guy. Now, Ken would change the game more, being on the defensive end position. But I don't think you even get to that game in 2011 without Connor Coward.
Well, I'm going backwards. I just yelled at somebody for living in the past. Let me go backwards. I'm going to take 13 to 11.
Okay.
I'm going to take Chad Wiggins.
You would say Chad Wiggins.
I'd take Chad Wiggins from 13 and put him on 11.
Okay. I don't know if that was the question. You just confused me.
It was. If you could have
from the 13 team and put him on the 11 team.
Oh, well then it's AJ Turner. I mean, it's not even a question.
Chad Wiggins.
Oh, come on, Bruce.
I gotta go with AJ Turner.
AJ Turner is by far. I mean, he's the best football player in this area. Not even close. You take that guy because he changes the whole game. I thought you meant if I had to pick one guy from the 2011 team, it'd be Connor Coward. If I had to take one guy from the 13 team, it's AJ Turner all day long.
We take AJ
Concord
Turner.
District SST, whatever they call it. David Liddle calls it.
Well, you take AJ Turner, I'll take Chad Wiggins, and Chad will punch him right in the mouth.
Well, listen, I'm telling you, he's the game changer on that deal. But how about Briarwoods? If you could take one guy off the Briarwoods team, and let's say you could put him on this team coming up to play on Saturday, who would you take?
Cam Sarnay.
Okay, I like that argument. But I'm gonna raise you one. I'm gonna say Alex Carter.
Okay.
Alex Carter was the guy that changed the game for Briarwoods at every turn. You know what I mean? Whenever they needed it, he was the one. And they've got Brandon Polk. Don't get me wrong. Mm-hmm. I don't think Brandon has gotten to Alex Carter's level as a senior. Okay, quite yet.
I would agree.
Right? I mean, he's going that way. He's only a junior, and he's been hurt half the year. But I would take Alex Carter off that team because I think if you put him in this game, LC Bird's got problems. You know what I mean? Especially with his experience and his big game-changing plays on offense and the way he shuts down guys on defense. He was that one guy that you would take.
I don't think you'd go wrong either way, really.
No, I mean, Cam's a great player. I mean, he was an incredible player.
Everybody talks about how great a tight end he is, but he also
played great on the defensive side, yeah. Good question.
All right, next up, one from our good friend at Boring Asa. Oscar Smith controlled Centerville's athletes in their 47-21 2011 final win. Why won't it happen again? 757 athletes are better than 703 athletes, right, Bruce? You're a homer with the 703. I'm going to let you take it.
I've got 2 words for you: speed and athletes. With all due respect to the teams of the past from the North, I haven't seen a team that has this speed, that has this depth, that has the athletes to match up with Oscar Smith and the Beach Schools. I don't think we've seen that.
So we agree on that, because we said that earlier in our preview, that we feel like, that Centerville is kind of built to play against the 7-5-7 team. The question is, now it comes down to schematics, okay? Offensively, the spread offense, which is what Oscar Smith has done so well under head coach Rich Morgan. I mean, they're the winningest program in the state of Virginia since he's been there in 6A or Division 6, whatever you want to call it. They're going for their 3rd state championship in the past, 5-6 years. So you're talking about dominance now. And what they do offensively, in my eyes, is what you see, the best spread teams across the country do in college football. They just put pressure on you nonstop. And typically, they find your weakest athlete and they just terrorize him all game. I mean, they put their good athlete on that guy and they match him up. And that's what Coach Morgan is really good at. I mean, he's really, really good at game planning your weak spots on defense and attacking them. And I think that's going to be the challenge for Centerville, because we know the headliners. I mean, A.J. Turner and Charles Tutt and Chad Wiggins and those guys, they can play with these guys. But I think you're talking about the role players, the guys that we may not know, because we don't watch them as closely in the highlights and so forth. They're gonna target those weak spots in that defense. And will we see discrepancies after you get past the 4 or 5 best players from Centerville on defense? I think that's where you're going to see, is this Oscar Smith team as good as that 2011 team where they can go after those guys and beat them up? I mean, that's...
I think what you're really talking about, if you boil it down, is can Centerville make the halftime adjustments to whatever Oscar Smith is doing in the first half and take it away from him in the second half?
Yeah, and I still think, I know the freshman quarterback, Sean Mitchell's had a great season, but, if you're a defensive coach, you got to confuse him. You can't let him pick you apart. But that means you got to stop the run first, right? Because you got to put the ball in his hands to win the game. So if Centerville can't stop the run, they're not going to win this game, because Oscar Smith will come after them and try to establish some balance on offense. If they then have success in stopping their run, then it comes down to Sean Mitchell, who's the quarterback, who's got to get the ball to guys like Jalen Bradshaw, right? Now you're talking about a freshman who's never been in this big game before, having to win it for his team offensively. Now you like Centerville's chances a little bit better. So again, you always take away the run first, then you got to be sound against the pass. Centerville likes to play aggressive defense. You can live and die by that. We saw that in 2011. So I mean, if it's me, I'd like to mix the coverage up a little bit. I'd not necessarily always bring the pressure. Play your base, stop the run, and then put the pressure on when you can in times, like I said, when this freshman's got to make plays. I mean, that's really where their advantage could come about. So.
All right, last one up is from Barry and Ashburn. With Briarwoods qualifying for a state championship in 5A, does this dispel any doubt that they are the best program in Ashburn? I will have input on this one, by the way.
Well, this is a statement, I think. I mean, I really do feel like, I was a doubter. I'm not going to lie. I mean, I said at the beginning of the year, I said to you, Bruce and Taylor, I said, yeah, but we're not talking about playing the Little Sisters of the Poor anymore. We're talking about playing the North Staffords of the world, the Colonial Forges of the world. I mean, that win over Colonial Forge now in week 2 looks really good. They were in the state semis last week. They beat North Stafford after losing early in the season. I think Briarwoods has elevated their program in the eyes of everybody. And so when you go from 4A up to 5A and you go right to the state finals, now if they win it, then I think the answer is yes, they're in a different class. If they lose it, then they're no different than what Stonebridge did back in 2005 when they jumped from 4A, went up and played Hampton in the state finals, and probably should have won that game, Bruce. You called that
game.
So, Stonebridge has done something similar. They don't have the championships in the 4A level that Briarwoods has, but getting there, I mean, that's an incredible achievement. And I think if you don't respect Briarwoods, I don't know why. I mean, what they're doing is special stuff. You just don't see it very often.
I think there's tremendous amount of respect deserved there. They're doing something with an opportunity to do what only 2 other teams has done. That's win 4 straight state titles. Very few teams have even played in 4 in a row. I didn't look that number up. I know it's only 2 teams that have won 4 in a row. And it's not Briarwood's fault because they're younger and they're not as old yet. But the question is the best program. Is Briarwood's the best team in Ashburn this year and probably the past couple of years? I would say yes, they are. Are they the best program? Maybe I'm playing semantics here, but I'm going to say the best program in Ashburn is still Stonebridge. And let me tell you why. Because Briarwood's is doing it with basically this core of players through 4 years in a row. Their span through high school. What's going to happen when the next wave comes? Yeah, Briarwood was successful leading into this as well. They've only done it about half as long as Stonebridge. Stonebridge has done it for 13 years in a row. They've lost one district game since they've been in the Liberty District. I don't know how many state title games they've been in, how many playoff games they've played, but when you talk about a program, it's still Stonebridge. It's not Briarwood's fault because they're, like I said, only have had half as many years about opportunity as Stonebridge has.
Well,
but you want to talk programs, it's Stonebridge.
Well, let's say this, though. The argument is always, well, they didn't have to play Phoebus. You know what I mean? They won their 3 state titles against weaker opponents. You know, if they'd had to go up against the Phoebus every year, then they probably wouldn't have any state titles either. I mean, that's been the argument from the other side of Ashburn, okay? But now, if they beat LC Bird, that argument's squashed. You can forget that argument because I would argue that this Briarwoods team, I said this earlier, is the least talented that they've had in 4 years with Trace McSorley at the helm. I'd argue that. So if they go down there and beat LC Bird with less talent across the board than what they've had, I don't know that they couldn't have done that all 4 years.
Well,
so that's to me that's the measuring stick, right?
Well, no.
That would end all arguments in Ashburn. You can forget it.
Not as far as the best program goes. What's going to happen when the next wave comes? I think you answer this question in the next 2 years. Broad Run had a great run, right? How many did they win in a row? Two. What happened after that? Fell off until this year was when we finally really heard back from them again and they made noise again. Right. Stonebridge has never fallen off in the past 13 years.
Great question.
All you got to say is, and this is by no means biased, but I will say this.
Come on, you're wearing
no other program has been to 4 straight state championships in such a short span, regardless of level. Because Stonebridge, let's be honest, they were in what's now called 4A for 6 years before they moved up.
Right.
Briarwoods was in 4A for a shorter amount of time, or actually about the same amount of time, and they won their state championships. So you could almost argue they're very similar. I'm going to side with almost both of you and say that right now, Stonebridge and Briarwoods are completely dead even. But like you said, if Briarwoods wins this game, Stonebridge, you got to take a backseat to Briarwoods. If Briarwoods loses it, you could argue they're still dead even with Stonebridge. Those two teams got to play each other.
All right, I'm going to let you give your prediction to end the show. We heard from David Liddle his thoughts. Who wins on Saturday? I'll start with Briarwoods.
You're the champ until you get knocked off. If you've been to the state championship 3 times
But so is LC Bird, though. LC Bird is the champ, Taylor. They
don't have number 7. They don't have number 7.
Nah, they got number 1.
But number 7 is quite possibly one of the best. Well, actually, not possibly. He is one of the best quarterbacks in Virginia high school football history.
You're right about that.
You can't count that out. You know, as far as LC Bird goes, they may have a talented quarterback. But is he the level of Trace McSorley?
They do have.
Well, they do have. But is he the level of Trace McSorley? We're going to find out. But you can't count out Briarwoods. I mean, when you beat North Stafford, who's been to the state semifinals, Briarwoods.
Okay, there you go.
No. You want to go to 6A? Centerville, I love you guys. I love you guys. Just not your student section, because I've called you guys out how many times and I've never seen you.
They were great last week.
But I'll say this, I don't think Centerville gets it done this year. They're still young, though. They're bringing back everybody. I think next year, a lot more optimistic. This year, still some growing pains.
All right, man. It's going to be a great weekend of football. And we're going to talk about it next week on our final show. We got one more left. Bruce is giving all his predictions. So is Taylor. So is David. So have I. And our producer, Helene Shane, is only, a couple minutes away from locking her picks down. We're tied in the picks of the week. You're 2 back. You're too far back. But bottom line is it's coming down to this last week. Hey, folks, it's been a fun season. Go to the state championship game. I really think, we'll leave it on this thought, that if you're from Lowden County, you should be dressed in orange and blue on Saturday down at UVA or Sunday, wherever they play the game. You should be behind Briarwoods. You should go to the game, pay your $10, and go support the team that's from your county. That's my opinion. I think all the people in this area should go there. Okay. Now for Centerville, even if you're a Westfield fan and a Chantilly fan, you should go to the state championship game and go support the local team. You're a hometown team. Forget the rivalries. Go support them, and they should do that for you. That is how it should be. Don't you agree?
Oh, I agree 100%. Look, see what I'm showing up here? If you're from Ashburn, stick your chest out and be proud. You've got a chance. You're playing for your 8th straight state championship.
That's right.
Just as being a local of Ashburn, that's
Title Town.
You've got to. You want Ashburn to hang on to that crown. How do you not want that to happen?
You should go. I think you should go. And I think that even though, you know, Hanley and Serrano, they don't care for each other much, even the Hanley people should go down to Liberty.
Bold.
They should go. James Wood should go. Millbrook should go. They should all go and support the local team. Like them or don't like them, that's what you got to stick with your home team here. Folks, have a great championship Saturday. Make sure you tune in on the NFHS Network at nfhsnetwork.com. For Bruce Bornarth, Taylor Jensen, David Liddle, and our producer, Helene Shane, I'm Andy Hayes. We'll see you next week after we crown some champions here on Saturday.
The Gameday Broadcast Network is proud to present high school football. This exclusive broadcast is being powered by Integrated Sports Medicine and Physical Therapy. Get back in the game of life. Manhattan Pizza, now serving Ashburn, South Riding, and Leesburg with the best dang pizza in the world. Verizon Wireless, the official wireless provider of the Gameday Broadcast Network. Diamond Sports Training, train with DST Performance today. Bellator Sports Memorabilia, the premier sports memorabilia store in Northern Virginia. EndZoneCamera.com, the most efficient and affordable end-zone camera system on the market. The Spine and Joint Health Center, offering patients superior, results-oriented care, proudly serving Northern Virginia with the finest spine and joint care. Quarterback University, take your skill to the next level and enhance your future today. By Max Muscle Sports Nutrition. Max Muscle, partners in health. Atlanta Bread Company of Sterling. Come for the food, stay for the culture.